What's up, y'all? It's Miles the Millennial.
And it's your boy Rex Howard Jr.
And this is Let's Talk Like Men, the podcast where we have real conversations about real topics, providing real advice to men like you everywhere. And we are back again for part 3 of our weight series. Rex, how are you doing today, brother?
Man, I ain't gonna lie to you, brother. I'm blessed. A lot of things have transpired.
Yeah?
Like I said before, I recently just signed back up for therapy.
Yes.
Tapping back into that because, I'm just in this space to where, I've done a lot of work on my own, a lot of reflection, a lot of introspection, but now I just need a little bit more structure, a little bit more guidance moving forward.
Yes.
So I was very detailed in my intake forms about what I wanted and about what I needed.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm excited about that, and I'm just excited about today. How about you?
I'm good, man. First off, I want to say congrats to you and kudos to you on signing back up for therapy. As a therapist, right, you guys do a lot of work helping other people through their journeys.
Yep.
But it's something I saw somebody said, they're like, every therapist needs a therapist,
Absolutely.
right? It's kind of that concept of who's going to help the helper, who's helping the person that's always giving, who's giving to them.
Absolutely.
And so you need people and you need support just like everyone else does. It's never too late, too taboo, and you're never too down the path of healing to not get help and support to go to the next level.
Absolutely.
So I'm very excited for that. Life has been good. Things are looking up for me in my life from a business perspective. So I'm super excited for all the things to come. I told you about the opportunity that I actually had you as a reference on. So yeah. I'm super excited about all of that.
That's a blessing, bro.
Yeah, man. God is working. But we are now in our part 3 of our weight series. So we have gone into 2 episodes so far. The first episode was the weight of being, what was the first one?
Of childhood trauma.
Childhood trauma.
Yeah.
The weight of childhood trauma, right? So as a man, carrying those things from aspects that happened when you were young, experiences that you went through, and how they have weighed you down as you become an adult.
Yeah.
The second episode we had was the weight of what?
The way of leading in relationships.
Leading in a relationship. So that was also another great episode talking about, as a man, you're supposed to be the leader, right?
Yep.
You're supposed to be the one that has the answers. You're supposed to be the one who has it figured out and sets the structure. But that carries a burden. And based on what you've experienced growing up and based on what you now live by, that carries a certain burden on your soul as well.
Absolutely.
Well, today we have a third part to this. And this is going to be the weight of denying your flesh.
Yes, sir.
Right? The weight of being a man who is just trying to get through life and you got temptation pulling you in all different aspects and areas. So we're super excited to have this conversation. We're going to be transparent as always. We're going to be accountable as always. We're going to be open. So without further ado,
hey, let's talk like men. Yes, sir.
All right, so let's go into our hot topic, Rex. I think you have this one for today. You want to take it?
Yes, sir. So the hot topic for today is, do you believe in taking breaks in relationships, right? So I saw a post on Instagram that mentioned that sometimes it's healthy for couples to take breaks when things get too, when conflict gets too high, when they're not in alignment or not seeing eye to eye. It's okay to take breaks. Not saying that, oh, I need 10 minutes or I need 24 hours. No, actually taking 1 or 2 weeks away from each other, then eventually coming back together. So, do you believe in taking breaks?
I don't. That's not something I align with. The reason why I say that is, when you sign up for a relationship, relationships are preparation for marriage, right? And in a marriage, the vows say for better or for worse, right? That means that when we go through things, it doesn't matter how big or small, we go through them together.
Yeah.
You don't get to take a break from loving someone. Right. You don't get to take a break from trying to fight for the greater good of your relationship for someone. Because you see what happens is, in the moments when you take breaks in anything in life, that's the moments when you become weaker. That's the moments when the devil gets to slip in. Let's just use an example. Let's say you're working out in the gym and you've been making progress towards a certain goal. Yeah. And you tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to go on vacation for a week or 2, right? I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm just going to completely focus on taking care of having fun, drinking, partying, eating what I want. I'm not going to worry about the gym. This is my time for me, so I can figure out other things in my life. Well, what happens to that area of your life that you just took a break from? Yeah. You're deteriorating. And now when you get back in the gym, you can't lift the same. You're not prepared for the battle that you're supposed to be training for, right? And the same thing happens in a relationship. You start going through that break period, and people start to do this too often. See, that's the thing. If somebody did it once, okay, that's one thing. But now you're going to start taking breaks anytime it feels too tough. Yeah. And what starts happening is in the moments that you have those breaks, It's another person on the other side that's waiting. They've been seeing the crack in the relationship,
Yeah.
and they try you. And you used to be in a position where you wouldn't even allow that. But now those thoughts ponder in your head. I mean, technically, we're on a break.
Yeah.
What's a conversation gonna hurt, right? Technically, I don't have to do those small things that I usually do, right? Checking in on this person every single day, doing the small things to make their life a little bit easier, and then vice versa, them doing that for you. And when you're not top of mind, when you're not constantly asserting your love and your presence in people's lives, you tend to become an option. You tend to become somebody that gets walked over, gets forgotten about, and you're less of a priority. And so I really believe that when you're in a relationship, there is no such thing as a break. We're doing this and we're going to do this. And if we need to take a break, we probably need to break up.
100%. And I agree with everything you said from a personal perspective, simply because I've actually tried that before. Right?
Let's hear about this.
So, in the past relationship, there's a lot of conflict. We just wasn't seeing eye to eye. Things just wasn't working out like it was supposed to. The conversations weren't flowing. The trust and everything just was like off. So it was something that I recommended. I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? I need to take a break to spend a little bit more time with God, to build on my discernment, to see if there's something that we need to do. I need to take a break to continue working on my development. But I also had the expectation that you do the exact same thing, right? So while I'm working on myself, I need you to be working on yourself. While I'm spending time with God, I need you to be building your relationship with God. You know what I'm saying? While I'm developing, I need you to be developing as well. But also while we're taking this break, we're still technically together in the public's eye. So I don't need you out here talking to other people, because I'm not going to be talking to other people. So it's almost like saying we're still in a relationship, but we're just going to take a pause from what we're doing to regroup. But one thing I learned is this. When you have a certain level of expectations for a person, y'all don't have an agreement on something, there's always going to be failure. There's always going to be disruption. And I realized that in the midst of me taking a break, I did every single thing that I said I would do. I spent time with God to use my discernment. I worked on my development. We came back to relationship and the same things were happening. I was expecting for things to be different.
Yeah.
I was expecting for communication to be better, but it wasn't. And what I realized is the more I took a break to focus on myself, during that break, I had a lot of peace. I didn't have any trust issues. There was nothing that frustrated me. There was nothing that disrupted my nervous system. But the minute I jumped back into the relationship, we resumed what we were doing.
Right back on.
It popped back in it. So that allowed me to know breaks only allow for you to be disconnected from your partner. Breaks put you in a position to not work through things like you're supposed to work through them. Breaks put you in a position to be vulnerable to other people that may be wanting your attention. So do I agree with breaks? Absolutely not. If you feel like you need to take a break from your partner for whatever reason, maybe you need to ask yourself a deeper question. That question is, do I need to be with them?
Yeah.
That's the real question.
That's true, man. And just to piggyback on that real quick, think about it like this. Everything you said, you took time for yourself to get closer with God, to focus on you, what you needed to get in order. All those things can be done.
Yep.
But if you have to do that away from your partner,
Yep.
it'd be better for you to say, hey, I think we need to break up. We need to focus on doing us. Let's focus on getting ourselves back together. You know, these are the things that I need to figure out for myself. And I don't think it's fair for us to do this while we're together, because I just can't figure it out with you.
Yep.
Right? Us doing it together ain't working. That's what you're saying when you say I need a breakup, right? It's better for you to go about it that path and then be able to come back to the relationship on a clean slate and say, you know, let's try this again.
Yeah.
We have broken up. We've been separated, doing our own thing, focused on us. I don't have to carry the burden of going out into the world trying to fix me, but then denying myself the things that I do want to do and the things I do want to talk to because there's somebody that technically I'm still in a relationship with.
Yeah.
That's not reflective of the dynamic of true teamwork and true partnership. It's better to separate and focus on yourselves and then say, if down the road the opportunity pops back up and you both feel like you're in a healthier space to love each other, let's start this over again on a fresh and clean slate.
100%. I like that.
Breaking up and a break are the same thing to me.
Yeah.
I'm not doing either one. Like, if we're in this, we're together or we're not. There's no half stepping.
Yeah. And the last thing I would say, and I had a conversation with a friend about this recently. If you are dating and you already feel as if you need to take a break, that's a clear sign that that's not a person you should be with.
Very true.
Because if the goal is marriage,
Yes.
then what happens when you get to marriage? There's no more breaks.
Yes.
Right? Then you create a covenant under God and with the other person that till death do us part, no matter what happens, through sickness and health, for richer, for poor. Like, this is what we're going to do no matter what we are locked in.
Yes.
So if you are having to take a break that early within your relationship and the boyfriend-girlfriend phase, then that's a clear sign that that's not where you should be.
Yeah, you setting the wrong precedent.
100%.
So I would just ask y'all this. Would you want your kids to see mommy and daddy on a break?
Yeah.
I just want you to think about it. What confusion does that cause for a kid when they're growing up and they know mom and dad are together, but dad ain't been in the house in 3 weeks?
Yeah. What's going on?
Dad's staying with auntie or uncle.
Yeah.
Why dad isn't here?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just complicated, this, that, and that. We're already setting the wrong foundation. So I think that's a great conversation that we just had. Now, I want to move into our main topic of the day, which is the weight of denying your flesh.
Yeah.
As a man, as a human being in general, you deal with temptation. But as a man, there's a different level of pressure and weight that comes onto us because we are the ones that are supposed to lead, right?
Yeah.
We are the ones that will be attacked quite often because they know if they can break us down, they can break down the entire family unit, right? And they can be whoever you want it to be.
Yeah.
You choose who they is, all right? But just know the enemy loves to see men who fall victim to their flesh.
Yeah.
And so we're going to talk about today the weight of denying your flesh, the consequences when you don't, the benefits when you do, and why it is so important to have a conversation like this, because every single man has dealt with this battle and will always deal with this battle to the day they die on how to deny themselves of their flesh. So I think I'm going to go first.
Yes, sir.
I'll start off by giving my point. So my point number one, a man's inability to deny his flesh shows a lack in every other area of his life as well.
Talk about it.
So when you start lacking in your flesh and your ability to deny your flesh, these are the consequences of it. First thing is your self-confidence is going to lower. Your focus is going to lower because you're in a position to where you can't say no to things. And so what starts to happen is you don't believe in yourself to stick with anything. You don't believe in yourself to be able to finish things. You don't believe in yourself to be able to pick a goal, stick to it, because every single time you get tempted, you're thrown off your path.
Yep.
Right? The other thing that happens is your anxiety increases because now you have self-doubt.
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with mindsets about yourself that say, nah, you know you're not good enough for that. I don't think I'm capable. You're always worried about the next thing that could throw you off your path.
Yeah.
So when you don't have an ability to deny your flesh, that puts a weight on you that affects every area of your life. Your finances get lower as well, right? A lot of people try to cope for their anxiety, right? By doing what? Drinking, eating, smoking. They're spending money on things, women, to try and cope for the fact that I don't have the ability to tell myself no.
Yep.
Right? That is how the enemy comes and attacks you. So my point number one is when you can't deny your flesh, when you have an inability to deny your flesh, it will reflect a lack in every other area of a man's life.
That's really good, man. And the reason it's so good is because when you think about it, as a man, if you're supposed to be a leader, you want to be confident and speak with conviction about where you're going and where you're headed.
Yes.
Right? So when it's time for you to make decisions, you don't want to have to second guess yourself. You don't want to have to say, well, maybe I can't, right? If I can't say yes to this or no to this, then maybe I have a hard time doing the same thing over here. So that's important. Now, when did you overcome that?
Well, first off, let's talk about overcoming, right? Because that would say that I went through it, got through it, and it's done.
Right.
There is no overcoming your flesh.
Continuous.
It is continuous. As a man, you will always fight a battle between the flesh and the spirit.
Yeah.
Bottom line. That is in the Bible. It says that you will war with your flesh.
Yeah.
Right? So let's not come into this saying that you ever get to a point to where it's just easy and the flesh doesn't impact you. But what I will say is there have been aspects of my life where I used to give in to that temptation, and now I have a priority-based mindset. And so I choose not to fall victim to it.
Yeah.
Prime example is with women. We'll just use women as an
100%.
example. Right? There used to be a time period where I would answer those DMs. Right? There used to be a time period where I would love to see the heart eyes under my story. There used to be a time period where the attention of women was something that I longed for.
Yeah.
Right? And there became a time period where after dealing with the consequences of those actions and realizing like, yo, this doesn't get you where you want to be.
Yeah.
It isn't fun being a victim to this, right? And realizing that the outcomes that I was getting was not falling in line with where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
That I had to make a choice. That I had to say, well, then you're going to have to start denying yourself some of these things that you want, because not everything that you want is good for you as a man.
Yeah.
Right? Some of these women ain't good for you, bro.
Yeah.
Some of these women only want to see that they can get your attention, can get your time, can get your energy, can get your money, can get sex out of you, whatever it is. They want you for this aesthetic of who you are, for the energy and the fact that, oh, this man is such a high level man, quote unquote. They want you for that reason, but they don't want your soul.
They don't want your soul.
They don't want to see you succeed. They don't want to see you become the godly man that you're supposed to be. But every single time that you give in to that, you end up falling victim to it and you come up short.
100%.
And I had to realize that, bro, that ain't what I want. So everything that look good, everything that you want, everything that feels good is not always good for you. Hell, McDonald's tastes great when you fiending for it.
God.
But the consequences of it aren't what you want. And when you see your life in 20, 30 years and you don't like the way you look in that mirror and the way that you think, well, you're going to realize McDonald's was an issue.
Absolutely. I mean, that's amazing. And it's almost just like the choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just like for relationships. There's this man that got on the podcast and he had mentioned, he said, when I got married, I asked my wife, what if I find something better? What if I find a woman that's more attractive, or her personality is different, or she's able to do more? And his wife said, oh, you will.
Yeah.
You will. There's always going to be somebody that's going to look better. There's
Yes.
always going to be somebody that's going to be able to offer more value. But because you decided to make me your wife, now you have to choose to love me every single day. You have to choose me every single day. So just like the context of choosing in relationships, you also have to choose to walk in the Spirit. You have to choose to pick up your cross and walk every single day. You have to choose to do what's right and to do what pleases God and what honors God and respects yourself versus doing the complete opposite.
Yes.
And like with men, women are going to be the biggest test.
Yes.
Right? If you ever had the opportunity, not going to say opportunity, if you ever failed to sin and fell to temptation and you cheated on your partner, right? Or you messed with multiple women, you know what that feels like.
Yes.
You know what that feels like. You know what that looks like. You know what it sounds like. And you know the consequences of it. And then if you've ever been able to be faithful in a relationship,
Yes.
you also know what that feels like.
Yes.
So now that you have the choice, it's like, what will you choose?
What will you choose?
A man that is able to say no, a man that's able to deny himself and deny his flesh, is able to choose to be faithful and to walk in the fruit of the Spirit, right? To able to pick up their cross and follow God, right? And lead how he's supposed to lead. But a man that doesn't have that ability is going to do the complete opposite. He's going to see something nice and he's going to go to that every single time.
Yeah.
Which, that goes right into my first point.
Let's get it.
Failing to deny your flesh makes it hard to discern who's for you and who's not.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? So think about it like this. We create this habit of pleasing ourselves. We create this habit of objectifying. We create this habit of doing what makes us feel good and what we deem makes other people feel good, right? But the issue with that is, if that becomes your lifestyle, that becomes your norm, when you meet a good woman, right, and you have sex with her too early, or you entertain the idea of pleasure too early, once you finally get it, that was the chase for you.
Yes.
Once you finally get it, that's all you wanted from them. And you don't have the ability to think like, dang, do I love her because of her heart, because of the value, because of her family, because of how she pours into me? Or am I in love with her because of how she makes me feel sexually?
Yeah.
Am I in love with her because how wet it is or how good it is? Like, you have to ask yourself these questions. So it truly makes it hard for you to discern who's good for you and who's not good for you if you can't deny your flesh. That's why God says it's good that you wait until marriage.
Yeah.
Because without sex on the table, you know how many people wouldn't be in your life?
Yeah.
You know how many things you wouldn't entertain? You know how many, like I said, we have this idea of what feels good and based off our experiences. And we're like, you know what? Ooh, I already know that's going to be straight. But just imagine if you never had any sexual experience as a single man. The only thing you're looking for is a woman with a good heart.
Yes.
Only thing you're looking for is a woman that can pour into you. Only thing you're looking for is a woman that adds value to your life. But when you say no and you say forget what I'm supposed to do and you go ahead and lean into your flesh, oh, you'll never feel to see her for who she really is.
Bro, that is, first off, that is amazing, because how I look at it is, and I've had this conversation with myself a million times about how I have had to redefine my language when
Yeah.
it comes to love, when it comes to being with my partner, right? When we started dating, I was 21. She was 19.
Kid.
Young. And I was in the middle of a whole phase.
Yeah.
So you're talking about going from my mindset when it comes to women, like all those other qualities that you have are great and all. But I'm just trying to see what you about. I'm trying to find out. That's all I'm caring about at the end of the day. That's the end goal.
Right.
I'm not thinking about love. I'm not thinking about how I can treat her better. At that point, my concept of what a relationship is supposed to be it's just trash. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sitting there not thinking about the sacrifices that it's going to take to be able to love this person properly. And so I go into that relationship not being the type of partner that I need to be.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not being a godly man. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing things that a boyfriend should quote unquote do.
Yeah.
But my real aspect of how deep the love was supposed to go from me to her and from her to me was shallow.
Yep.
It was shallow. And through time, I've gotten to a point where the depth of that is so far down now from where it used to be.
Yeah.
I don't even communicate in the same way anymore. What I value out of her is not the same thing anymore. Sex ain't even the number 1, number 2, or number 3 priority in my relationship with her.
Yeah.
And goddamn, it can't be. We long distance. So,
Well, it felt that.
It already got to be something that, imagine if I couldn't deny my flesh. So let's talk about that. Imagine if I couldn't deny
In a
my
long
flesh.
distance
So when
relationship.
there's a change in the dynamic of your relationship and y'all choose to battle through that, like being 800 miles apart.
Yeah.
If I'm a man who can't deny my flesh,
Uh,
I'm going to be out here wilding, bro.
Yeah.
Either with other women, when it comes to porn, anything. And I'm not going to be able to love her properly because all I'm going to think about is the fact that she's depriving me.
yeah.
You depriving me. I can't have sex with you.
Yeah.
We're not having sex. You don't love me. You don't want me. Because my mind has been so perverted and so geared towards pleasing myself when I want it, how I want it, in that exact moment.
Yeah.
Versus being a man who can deny my flesh and sit there and say, nah, this isn't for me, bro. Like, right now ain't the time to be focused on sex. You need to cultivate your relationship in some other ways, bro.
Yeah.
Learn how to communicate better. Learn how to be more romantic. This is forcing you to get out your comfort zone because you got to show that you love this woman from 800 miles away. And she got to do the same thing for you. I guess it's time to put your big boy pants on. It's time to be a man.
It's time to be a man.
So.
And you know what's so good about that is it gives you the opportunity to please her mind.
Yes.
Right? To please her soul.
Yes.
It gives you time to connect on a different type of level. Because let's just take it a step further, right? I'm engaged, but what happens when I get married, right? And my lady she gets pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
When she's pregnant, there's a time period where you can't have sex.
Yeah.
When after she gives birth, there's another time period where you can't have sex.
Yeah.
Right? Let's just say I go through something that's a tragic situation and I can't have sex.
Yeah.
Or like it's so important for us to realize that denying your flesh isn't only good in your single season, but it's also good in every phase of your life. Because there's going to be times where sex is going to be off the table. And if sex is the only thing that you have with your partner, if intimacy and pleasure is the only thing, is the only connection that you have with your partner, that relationship is not going to last, especially when things get deep. And perfect example, as a marriage counselor, I get men in the office all the time that cheat on their wives when they're sick, they cheat on their wives when they're pregnant, or when they have postpartum depression, right? They can't deny themselves long enough to be able to sit with their wives and connect with them emotionally, intimately, mentally, because they're not getting what they want.
Yeah.
They're so eager to please their flesh that they can't even do that. So, fellas, this goes beyond just singleness. Once again, if you are a single man, the best thing you can work on right now is having self-discipline and be able to tell yourself no. When you get in a relationship, it's going to be good because there's going to be times where your partner's not going to want to be intimate and you're going to want to be intimate, but you got to be able to deny your flesh and not get attitude because of it. There's going to be times where you get married and your wife is going to be tired because she's working all the time, maybe at home or with the kids. There's going to be times where she may be sick. There's going to be times where she may be pregnant. There's going to be times where she isn't going to be able to give you what you need, and you got to be okay with that.
Yes.
You can't give her an attitude. You can't disrespect her. You can't withdraw from her or make her feel like you're going to abandon her because you're not able to get what you want. So it's deeper than just surface level stuff. So, and just know this is something that you have to choose to do every single day. like Myles said, you never truly overcome it and wake up one day and say, "Oh, I don't have the temptation to masturbate. Oh, I don't have the temptation to have sex. Oh, I don't have the temptation to go do something lustful. Oh, I don't have the temptation to step out of my wife." There's never going to be that day, but every single day you have to choose not to. Every single day you have to choose to be a man of God, to be faithful, to walk in the Spirit, pick up your cross, and follow God.
Absolutely. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Everybody would do it.
So I love that, man. Let's move on to point number 2. We're on a roll right now, so we're going to keep it going. So my point number 2 is this. A man that can't deny his flesh is the most unattractive type of man to a woman. So why is that? The reason why is because when you can't deny your flesh, it shows her a few things. This is a few of them. He doesn't have focus. He doesn't have ambition. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have priorities. He doesn't have discipline, right? He is not fit to lead. These are the things that runs through a woman's mind whenever they come across a man who can't deny his flesh, right? So when she come across you, and the first thing, she's a godly woman, or even if she isn't a godly woman yet, but she knows where she wants to be. Yeah. And she knows the type of man that she desires. And you want her, bro. You seen her, and she the baddest in the club, the baddest in the room. She beautiful, she's smart, she got all these aspects going for her. Yep. When you talk to her, it make you feel good. But your focus is on getting to them draws. Yeah. Right? And you push sex so quick and so early, and you're always trying to make the conversation go down a freak route. Yep. What ends up happening is she recognizes very quickly the type of man you are. Yep. And that is unattractive. Yep. Right? Let's go another aspect. Let's say you're dating her or you're courting her, and you constantly say that you're going to be this type of person. I'm going to be consistent in the gym. I'm going to go to the gym today. You never go to the gym. Yep. Right? Oh, I'm going to start reading a book so I can get my vocabulary better. You never pick up a book. Yep. All she sees is somebody who cannot choose to do the right thing. Yeah. Somebody who cannot choose to make the long-term decision that's going to benefit them. Instead, he chooses sleeping in the bed. Yeah. He chooses being lazy all day. He chooses to play that video game. I know NCAA 25 just came out, my boys, but that doesn't mean you get to deny your priorities. Yeah. Right? When you become that type of man to where your priorities aren't really priorities, and everything that you say matters to you never gets the attention that it deserves because you're constantly choosing what you want versus what you need, you are not a man that women want to be around. You're not a man that women are attracted to, at least not a woman of substance. Yeah. Right? She's not going to desire that because you're unfit to lead. And so my message to the fellas out there, if you have trouble with denying your flesh, I need you to understand that this isn't just important for you. This isn't just a battle that you have to fight for yourself and for your future, but it's also a battle that you need to fight for your future wife and for your future kids. Yeah. Because they are going to base their trust in your leadership off of your ability to not fall victim to temptation in all areas of your life. Because not only is the world going to tempt you, your wife will tempt you at times to do things that you know y'all don't need to do. Yeah. Your children will tempt you at times to have you do things that you know you don't need to do. You see, kids, right? They're easily influenced. And so they'll come into your house with all these different concepts that Connor and John up the road are doing and how they're disrespecting their parents and how they get everything they want from their parents just by throwing a fit. And you have to be strong enough to deny your flesh to say, you know what, I would like to feel equal to those parents. I would like my kids to talk about me a certain way and say, no, I'm trying to teach you something. I'm trying to teach you how to deny your flesh, so I got to deny mine. Yeah. Right? Your wife may say, babe, we want to go on a trip so bad, we haven't gone on one in a few months. But you know that with the goals y'all have financially, that trip is not in the picture right now. Yeah. You're saving for a house. You're saving for a car. You're saving to put your kids through a summer camp. We can't go on this vacation. Can you deny your flesh and not give in to what your wife is telling you? Well, if you're a man who can't say no to a woman, if you're a man who's never taught yourself how to see the bigger picture in the moment, you're going to fall victim. Yeah. And your family's going to fail because you have not taught yourself how to deny your flesh.
Man, you just said a mouthful, brother. You just said a whole mouthful. I got a couple different things I'm going to add to it. Thing number one is to add to that list, you now become, in a woman's eyes, a man that's for everybody.
Oh, boy.
Are you for everybody?
Yeah, hey. What Cash Doll say? For everybody.
No, so, and once you become a man in a woman's eyes that's for everybody, she knows that if I entertain you, I'm only going to use you for certain things. You are not going to be my husband. You're not even going to be my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Maybe you just may be a piece of meat that I use.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe you got some bread that I need.
Yeah.
Right? This is going to now be a very transactional relationship because you for everybody. I can't be seen out in public with you because you for everybody. Right? I can't be taking a picture with you because you for everybody. You know what I'm saying? So with that being the case, that's that. And then like Myles said, denying your flesh goes far beyond pleasure.
Yes.
When it comes to intimacy. But it's denying your flesh when it says, I need to stick to a diet. Are you able to deny your flesh?
Yes.
You become unattractive if you can't deny your flesh when it comes to your diet because now you become a man that don't even look good.
Yep.
Right? You become unattractive if you say, I can't deny my flesh, and like Ma said, if I'm supposed to read, if I'm going to study, if I'm supposed to go back to school, or if I need to go work out. But I'm saying, I'm just too tired.
Yes.
Right? It goes so deep, but you said an absolute mouthful, and everything you said was absolutely right. You're going to have to deny your flesh on every single level, from being a father to being a husband to being a single man to being somebody that the community looks up to.
Yes.
And something I said on many podcasts, if a man doesn't kill the snake in his garden,
Yep.
it's going to show up in the garden of his sons.
Yes.
Your son is going to watch how daddy responds to denying him flesh. Your son is going to see how daddy responds when he wants something that he know he doesn't need, but he goes to get it anyway.
Exactly.
He's going to see how you respond, and he's going to pick up on those traits and those tendencies.
Yeah.
So if you become aware of that now, if you know that you have a hard time denying your flesh and you don't have kids, please work on it. If you know you have a hard time denying your flesh and you're not in a relationship, please work on it. Because the last thing you want to show a woman is, I'm not a man of my word. I'm going to always go and do what's pleasurable for me, and I'll never be able to do what I need to stay disciplined to. And then you're going to show your kids that they can do whatever that they want to do, and there's no consequences behind it.
I got to hit on that third point.
Go ahead.
Because I've seen it too often. you when you bring up that comment about a man killing his snake before it shows up in the garden of his son, I've seen it firsthand, man. I have seen this firsthand within my own story.
Yeah.
And within my friends' stories,
Yep.
right? We all have different dynamics with our parents.
Yeah.
Some of us have great dynamics with our father, and our father was a great example to us. Some of us, our fathers necessarily weren't the most loyal, right?
Yep.
And hold around a lot. For some of us, we have our dads in our life, but there's trauma and stress between our father. And what I see in every last one of those is we reflect our damn daddies, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, big time.
We reflect them.
Yeah.
And for some of my boys, the idea of faithfulness, the idea of marriage, the idea of not going and chase that piece of cat that just walked in the bar that you like is foreign to them.
Yeah.
It's like, what you mean? And you have these conversations with them and they get it, right? They're not dumb enough to not see that, oh, yeah, that's cool. I understand why you want to be faithful and this, that, and that.
Yeah.
But as for me,
Yeah.
I don't see why it's that big of a deal. I'm going to go have my fun.
Yep.
It's not that serious to them. But for me, it's that serious.
It's gotta be.
Because I didn't grow up with a man who gave in to his flesh. I grew up with a man that was committed to one woman, right? I grew up with a man that was locked in on that.
Yeah.
Didn't have no circumstances where folks was calling up late at night or hitting the hey girl text. No, that wasn't happening in my household. I grew up with a man that told me from a young age, he said, son, let me tell you something. There are women that want you just because they can't have you.
Yeah.
I grew up with a man like that told me straight up, don't fall victim to that. I seen dudes at the job lose their marriages because they messed around with the woman up at the job and she only slept with married men. She only slept with married men.
Yeah.
And if you think that not going to come your way, you a fool. But you got to be smart enough to say, I'm not playing your game. You need to stay away from me. I grew up around that.
Yeah.
And so for me, when I went down my path of not being a faithful man, my morals got really checked by that.
Yeah.
My morals had a true issue with it. My integrity was challenged on every single level to the point to where I couldn't sleep at night. I'm walking around with guilt because I know that the example that I was set for, this ain't living up to that. But if you don't have somebody to show you, if you're a man and you are operating a certain way and you think, well, I'm a good father to my son, I take care of my son, I show him how to be a man, you also showing him what not to do.
Yeah.
He's watching everything that you do. And so you think that you can be a good man because you take care of the home, you show up to his games, but you cheat on his mama.
Yeah.
You screwing that boy up still.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll know how to work hard, but he ain't gonna know how to be a good husband.
Yeah.
And so it's just things that I want us to realize. The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
How you do anything? That's amazing, brother. You know, it's the opposite side of the spectrum for me.
Yeah.
Right? So you grew up not seeing it. I grew up on all levels seeing it.
Yes.
Right? So not only within the home, but every older gentleman, like the football coaches that I used to ride with, the track coach I used to ride with, some of my high school mentors, everybody talked about, you know, how it was okay to do this outside the home as long as your wife don't find out. So you learn, oh, it's cool. It just don't get caught.
Exactly.
Hey, just don't get caught.
Yep.
And I had to get to the point in my life where I had to say, Rex, you do not have it in you to teeter-totter.
Yes.
And hop back and forth on that line, because I have this all or nothing mentality. If I'm going to be on that,
yeah, I'm on that.
I'm on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I'm going to be a faithful man,
Yep.
then that's what I'm going to be. And I can't do anything to deviate from that.
Yes.
I cannot do anything to deviate from that. I can't put my toe in the water. I can't go just try something out.
Yes.
I can't go say, well, maybe just one time, because that one time going to lead to the next time. And so that's why, like we said on multiple podcasts, there's certain places you can't go. There's certain conversations that you can't engage in. There's certain amount of drinks that you can't get to or have if you're not in the presence of your woman.
Yes.
And you have to have these decisions. So no matter how many of your friends may be doing something, no matter how many people in the environment, no matter how much social media may say it's cool, if you are trying to be a faithful man, a committed man, a godly man, there's certain things that you're going to have to do, and one of those things is denying your flesh.
Yes.
It's harder to deny your flesh, and it's easy to say not. To say yes.
Yes. Oh, man. I love it. I love
Yes,
it.
sir.
Come on, let's get your point
All
number
right,
2.
goes into my point number 2. It says, when you're not committed to denying your flesh, you risk the chance of putting yourself in a situation that creates negative or permanent results.
Let's talk about them consequences.
Right? So, on a relational level,
Yeah.
right? You can't deny your flesh. Now, your partner doesn't want to do something, but you want to do it anyway, so you force it. You force yourself on them. That's rape. Right? You may be able to get away with
Clock
it once
it.
or twice, but nah, what happens is she makes that phone call.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're getting arrested for this, right?
Yep.
You can't deny your flesh to the point where now you're eating all these sugars, now you got diabetes.
Yeah.
Right? Now you got high blood pressure. And now you're having to take these shots in your arm simply because you made the wrong decisions. Right? Not being able to deny your flesh and going to the gym or failing to go to the gym, and now you are obese or overweight.
Yes.
Now you can't play with your kids the same way you used to play with your kids. Now when you're standing up naked, you can't even look at your manhood.
Yeah, you can't even see him.
You know what I'm saying? You got something in the way.
Yeah.
That's not denying your flesh. Let's take it a step further. The consequences. You in a relationship and you go out and cheat. Somebody give you something. You bring it back home.
Oh,
Right? Let's hope it's something you can get rid of.
Yeah.
But what happens if it ain't?
Yeah.
What happens if it's something that's permanent? So now you plan to have kids, and now you risk the chance of your kids being born with that simply because of your decisions. Right? There's so many different things that go along, and there's so many permanent consequences that go along with all this. Let's take it a step further. I seen a video on YouTube the other day. A man was cheating on his lady, right? And he was dumb enough to have his location on while he was cheating, right? So his woman found out about it, took her gun to that crib, and shot the other girl. These are permanent decisions.
Yeah.
Now she's about to go to jail for murder. Now you lost your lady and you lost your side piece.
Oh, my God.
So you not denying your flesh, it affects more than just you.
Yeah.
It affects your kids. You not denying your flesh goes into your son or your daughter watching you treat women or how you treat men or just in general. And now they base their core beliefs of a good man or a good woman based on how you are.
Yes.
So now you're asking your son, man, why you out here tripping like this? But the whole time is what you shown him.
I got it from you.
You know what I'm saying? He is really just a mirror of you.
Yeah.
So you don't like what you see in him, but you didn't like it enough to change the things in you before he saw it.
Dang, Rex.
You know what I'm saying?
Dang. That's so true, man. I got a friend, and he struggles with being able to finish things, right? But he gets a lot of that from his father. His father struggles with staying focused and finishing
Yep.
things, right? And so I think about what that leads to, not being able to finish college,
Yeah.
right? Staying in far longer than you need to, which leads to racking up a whole bunch of student loan debt, on top of the fact that since you don't have a degree and you didn't maximize your time there to get certain connections, you're not making good income.
No.
Now you're in the position to where when it comes to your future, you don't have the money to invest for your future.
No.
You want to build a relationship with a woman. After a while, if your woman is more successful than you and doesn't see you doing things to get better at that, she not sticking around,
At all.
right? And he's had to come into roadblocks continuously in his life simply because he never got to learn that from his dad on how to be consistent, how to be serious about things. A C was cool,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Coming up. Passing. That's
C's
not
get
worried about
degrees,
it.
what they
C's
say.
did degrees, right? But dad wasn't on him about that.
Yeah.
Dad wasn't emphasizing the importance of discipline and diligence. And so now he's having to learn that as a grown man. And that's a tough place and time to learn it. Whereas I could have learned it over the course of my 18 years when I was in this house with you. Now I got to be on a crash course to figure it out quickly.
Yep.
And I'm running into obstacles around every single corner.
Yep.
And they have real life consequences on me.
Yep.
So, it is true. Exactly what you're saying. It is extremely true because every single thing that you do got permanent result. And it's either going to show up in your life or it'll show up in your kids. It'll show up in your family. The outcomes of every action that you have play out. And so you got to choose.
Yeah.
What do you want? What do you want your life to be? What do you want your son and daughter to learn from you? What do you want you as an example? Not what you say, but what you do. What do you want your kids to be able to grasp from the man that you are?
Yeah.
And if you can't sit there and say that on every aspect of who you are getting better at these areas, you are getting help in these areas, or you already are in a great place in those areas, then that is a sign to you, brother, that is an area that you need to be focusing on to improve.
Yeah.
You need to deny your flesh in that area because that's why you're failing. Hands down, any area where you're failing at is because in some aspect of it, you can't deny your flesh.
Yeah.
To put in the extra time, the extra effort, the extra commitment, the extra sacrifice in order for you to succeed there. Deny your flesh so that you can get what you want in the long run.
Absolutely. If what you're doing isn't producing any fruit, you got to reroute and figure out what it's going to take for you to produce the fruit.
Exactly.
If you're doing things your own way and it's failing, then maybe it's time to get a mentor. Maybe it's time to lock in with a community of other like-minded individuals that's going to be able to pour into you and able to hold you accountable. Maybe it's time to tap in with a therapist to understand, okay, why can't I say no?
Yes.
Right? Because a lot of times you not being able to say no isn't because of who you are now. It's because of who you were
Yes.
in the past or something that happened to you
Yes.
in the past. Right?
That's so real.
So, man, what you got for point number 3?
Point number 3. Your ability to deny yourself improves your ability to deny others. Right? So this kind of goes into what
That's
you said
good.
about discernment and being
Yeah.
able to choose people that are for you. But I'm going to go a little bit different of a route. So think about it like this. When you start denying yourself and denying your flesh, you start to establish boundaries.
Yep.
Right? What you will and won't do. That also then sets the boundaries that other people at a minimum must abide by. Because what you won't do to yourself, you will never allow somebody else to do to you.
Yeah.
If I love myself, it's no way I'm going to allow you to come into my life and disrespect me, right? It's no way I'm going to allow you to come into my life and belittle me. You got to love me too,
100%.
because I love me. People who don't love themselves, what do they accept? Any form of attention, no matter how good or bad it is.
Yeah.
Any form of affection, no matter what comes alongside that. That's why so many lustful devils are allowed in people's hearts that are broken, because they don't have the self-love that they need, right? So it sets up a situation to where you can't say no to people.
Yeah.
So when women try to tempt you out of your marriage, how can you say no to them?
Okay.
You don't deny yourself when it's time to deny yourself, and you're sitting there in your bed, and that morning you got some morning wood, and you know you don't need to watch that porn.
Yeah.
You know you don't need to watch it, but you choose to go ahead and go on Pornhub, man. If you're in Texas, you can't even get on it no more.
Wow.
They done blocked it off.
Wow.
So now you're going to find the other website. Don't ask me how I know.
Trial and tribulation.
I'm telling y'all, man, I'm
Yeah.
not here to lie to you. So you go and you find in ways, and there's a lot of opportunities along that journey. You make so many decisions before you finally get to the point of climax, where you could tell yourself, no, I don't need to be doing this.
Yeah.
But you don't choose that.
Yeah.
So then what happens when you have so many decisions, when you're out with your boys and the women want to holler at you? You got so many opportunities to say no to that situation, but you give in and you give yourself the excuse, give yourself the lie again and again and again and again until one day, now you're all the way in it.
Yep.
And you trying to figure out how the hell did I get here, bro?
Yeah.
You sitting there with the regret from it. You sitting there with the way you look at yourself, the way that you now walk into life feeling like you just ain't no good type of man. Then it affects your performance at work.
Yeah.
It affects the way you're able to love yourself, the way you're able to love your children, the way you're able to love your partner. It affects everything in your life.
Every aspect of it.
So if you can't deny yourself, you can't deny others.
Yeah. And you know, something that's so good, and I'm going to add this to your point, because you had mentioned, you know, the effects of pornography too. But I'm going to give you some statistics and some research that I found on pornography usage, right? And how it correlates to what you just said. It says, porn usage is correlated with the erosion of your prefrontal cortex, which is the region of your brain that houses executive functions like empathy, goal setting, morality, communication, emotional control, attention span, caution, foreseeing consequences, and your ability to reflect on your decisions.
Are you serious, Rex? It does all that?
Everything you just said. So if those who don't know, the prefrontal cortex is in the front of your brain, and it's not truly fully developed until you're 25 years old. It develops in women faster than it develops in men, but this is your decision maker.
Yeah.
And this is all of your executive functioning. So if you are under 25 and you are pouring pornography or pouring things in your body that you don't need, and you're not able to deny your flesh, once again, the areas that are being affected are your empathy, goal setting, morality, communication, emotional control, your attention span, your caution, being able to foresee consequences, and your reflection. So everything you just said is what the statistics say and what the research say.
That's crazy, bro. I'm 26, right? From the age of, I'd say, 14, I've masturbated at least once in a 3-4 day span.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just now at a point, and I've talked about this on the last episode, where I'm getting over porn addiction and masturbation addiction.
Yeah.
Haven't done it in over 9 weeks, almost 10 weeks now, something like that. It's crazy to think that I spent all this time waiting until I could be mature, waiting until I could be 25 and have all that developed. And the whole time I've been slowing down the progress.
You've been slowing it down, brother.
Been filling it with so much nonsense that's been pulling me back from the man I'm supposed to be.
Yep.
I'm not going to harp on that too long, but it's just crazy to me that this was just a thought that I had.
Yeah.
This was just me observing things, and that there's true data to reflect the fact that, bro, porn is the devil.
It's the devil. It disrupts everything. It slows down your growth. It slows down your maturity. It slows down your thinking process. It interferes with your ability to connect with your partner on an intimate level. It interferes with your ability to communicate on a high level, right? It interferes with your ability to find pleasure in human-like things.
Yes.
Because your body gets pleasure in a dopamine rush from watching something on your screen.
That's real. That's real.
So, man, I'm going to go into my last point.
Let's go.
I said, by the time you get to know God for yourself, you've already created a habit of either denying your flesh or giving into it. Right? What does that mean? When I grew up in the church, around the church, doing Bible study weekly with my great-granny who used to babysit us. She used to make us read the Bible all the time, even though we had no idea what we were reading. When I got to college, I was going to church on Sundays, but I would say a major influence of going to church on Sundays was the fact that they used to feed you after church. And if you're a college student, you know, like, you know what I'm saying, the calf really go kind of lightweight on Sundays. So you go for that hot meal. And certain things connect with you and stick with you, but certain things don't. I didn't really tap into my spirituality and my relationship with God until I would say 2021. So prior to that, I created a habit of saying yes to my flesh, and loving it.
Yeah.
Loving what it looked like, loving what it did for me. And there's certain areas where I didn't love it, but that's what the habit I created. So then I built this relationship with God, and He says, "Deny your flesh." He says, "Your body is a temple." He just like, your body is not your own; it's mine. And then I had a mentor. We were doing discipleship together, and he had said something to me that was very, it threw me off, and it was disgusting to even think about. But he said, "Rex, I want you to think about this every single time you masturbate." He said, "Because your body is not your own, every single time you masturbate, you are raping God."
Wow.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
But he was like, certain things, like you have to
Go
change
to that
your
extreme.
change your mindset on certain things, right?
Yeah.
Because if you can't tell yourself no, then like you said, it's going to cause consequences. It's going to mess up a lot of different things. So, but if I had a relationship with God early, and my parents taught me, hey, you shouldn't do this because it's not glorifying God, it's not honoring God, it's not respecting yourself, right? You shouldn't allow other people to do this to you because it's not good for you. Wait until you have a husband, wait until you have a wife. And not only are you hearing this from your parents, but it makes sense because they're both married. And then you hear them say, oh no, me and your dad waited until we were married. Or you hear them say, me and your dad didn't wait till married, but it caused so much trauma in our relationship, and it delayed a lot of things for us. So we don't want you to experience those same things. So by the time you get to know God, you've either created this habit of denying your flesh or saying yes to pleasure. And now you're conflicted with, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
But because I'm so used to feeling this, I'm so used to giving in, I'm so used to having that feeling of release, that it's so hard for me to do what I know I need to do.
Bro, that's so real. That's so real. And I think it also creates this aspect of like, you start to judge yourself because you think God is judging you. Because shame. You're coming with shame in front of God, right? And it's hard for you to feel like He gonna love you.
Yeah.
It's hard to feel like He gonna accept you because you're this just horrible vessel. You feel.
Yep.
Like, man, I'm coming to Him, but I can't deny myself. I've been living my whole life the complete opposite way of what He said I was supposed to be doing.
Yep.
I've been having sex before marriage. I've been masturbating. I've been drinking in excess. I've been smoking and pouring, harmful things into my body. I've been doing so many different things, letting the world use me and not letting you use me. How am I supposed to be good enough for you to love me right now?
Yeah.
To be forgiven by you right now? Because you're looking at it from your perspective saying, I wouldn't forgive nobody who did me that dirty.
Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. We're covered, right? The blood of Jesus covers us and allows us to go to God and ask for forgiveness, and we will be forgiven.
Yep.
And so I just wanted to just kind of close with that on that topic to say, like, look, if you feel like you have lived a very sinful life that isn't becoming of a man of God, and you know you need help, you know you need God, but you are ashamed to go before Him, remember that you aren't the one that's going.
Yep.
Jesus is going in your stead.
Yep.
He's the one representing you, not you. Okay? He already paid the price for that. And so don't feel shame to accept the Lord and to live by His word.
Absolutely. And last thing I'm going to say is, we often believe that shame is going to be the thing that makes us stop, but no, shame is the thing that makes us keep doing the thing that we're not supposed to be doing.
Yes.
So if you don't know how to break that cycle of shame, I want to help. Go to resolvecc.com, book a session with me, and we can talk through that shame. We can uncover the stories of your shame, and then we can work through it so shame is no longer your story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was awesome. I think that was a great main topic. We're going to transition real quick into our Let's Talk letter of the day. We got a special type of letter today. There's an amazing group out in Atlanta that's going to be having an event coming up, and they're going to be talking about digital detoxification for men, right? The aspect of what you're seeing on your social media feeds, what you encounter just on your digital platforms in general, the effects they have in your life, and why you need to, prune them, if you will, why you need to detoxify what you're seeing, or maybe even take a break, and the benefits of that. So I'm going to go first.
All right.
I'm going to give a couple of points as to why it's so important to detoxify your digital landscape.
Yeah.
And then from there, we can have a little conversation.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I'm going to say is this. Digital detoxes provide clarity to your purpose.
Yeah.
Right? So what I mean by that is this. it is hard to be a man that's focused on your financial, your spiritual, your mental, emotional, and physical goals. If every single time you get on your phone, you are seeing things that are completely not in alignment with that.
Right.
Right? So you get on your social media platforms and all you see is booties all over your timeline.
Yeah.
All you see is fast food all over your timeline. All you see is people drinking and smoking and partying all over your timeline. People spending lavish amounts of money on things that don't matter on your timeline. It makes you lust for those things.
Yeah.
It makes you focus on those things. And you don't even recognize it a lot of times. You don't realize the way that it's impacting your focus and your clarity until you start choosing to focus on what's on that social media more than the plan that you have for your day.
Yeah.
And I know we've all been through it where you spend your whole day scrolling
100%.
on a page, scrolling through social media, and you didn't accomplish half the things that you were supposed to get done. Your mind isn't clear because you have so many things impacting you. The second reason why it's important to detox is because having so much access to this, which gives instantaneous information, instantaneous lust, instantaneous abuse, instantaneous violence, right? Creates a very short-term thinking man.
Yeah.
Creates a man who is always in the now, always in, I need it right now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a long-term mindset. He doesn't have a long attention span. And we have decreased as men our attention span significantly over the last 10 years because of how much access we have in the digital world.
Yep.
And so you need to this is my action for you guys. I would tell you to go into all your digital platforms right now, your YouTube, your Instagram, your TikTok, all that. Clear out your cookies and your cache so you can start with a clean page. And I want you to start searching only things that are in alignment with what you're focused on. If you're focused on real estate, I need you to go start looking at real estate pages.
Yeah.
If you're focused on financial advice, spiritual advice, being committed to your wife, seeing healthy marriages, becoming a godly man, start searching pages that talk about that. That way, that becomes your page. That becomes your timeline. And then when you come across people that you follow who post things that are not in alignment with where you need to be, I need you to mute or unfollow them. One or the other. That way, your timeline reinforces the things you want in life.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What do you have to say to that?
I mean, that's amazing. And even with that last point you just made, by deleting the people, it's so important because I'll give you a very quick story. When I went from being a unfaithful man to a faithful man, I realized that my timeline signified every single thing I wanted or desired, right? Everything I couldn't deny my flesh for. So with that being the case, I had to go through, and I was following 6,000 people at the time.
Yeah.
I went through and I unfollowed 5,000 people. Now, mind you, these were people that were posting videos that I used to desire. These are people that was posting pictures that I used to desire. These were even individuals that were just living a life that wasn't in alignment with the life that I was wanting to live. So you need to cut that off. And then the other main point that I want to give is if you don't detoxify yourself, you are limiting your ability to connect with humans in the real world.
Yes.
Right? If everything you do is on your screen, right, that means you're going to go out to the bar and be on your phone. You're going to be in church and try to check your phone, right? You're going to be out in public walking around on your phone. Your wife could have walked right past you.
And you'd have missed her.
And you would have missed her, right? When you're out on a date and your phone is buzzing, you got the sense of urgency to go check it. You don't have to do that, right?
Yes.
So if you don't detoxify yourself from that, you'll lose your ability to communicate with actual humans. So once again, like Myles said, delete the apps, clear the cache, learn how to connect with other people, get off your phone and set time limits. It also allows you not to be so impulsive.
Yes.
I know for a fact now the way these phones are set up, they don't even give you long form videos anymore.
At all.
You get 30, 45 to 60-second max videos, and that's all we have the attention spans for.
Yep.
So
YouTube shows you shorts now before they show you the long video.
Absolutely.
That's the exact opposite of what we grew up on YouTube being.
Yep.
It's all short form. They're taking advantage of the fact that they know men and women don't have the attention spans for it. And we have to ask ourselves, as we're trying to become godly men, as we're trying to become more purified men, we shouldn't allow ourselves to be manipulated in that way.
Yep.
We have to set the narrative for ourselves.
You have to.
And I think about it like this. You go over to Europe, ask anybody who's flown out the country and spent an extended amount of time in another country. They can eat as bad as they want over there. They can eat whatever they want and as often as they want. They'll lose weight simply because there's not toxicity in the foods that they're eating like it is over in America.
Yep.
Come back here and they try and eat healthy and they grow weight.
Yep.
The same thing happens with your digital landscape. Because of the environment that you're around, the toxicity that's on your platforms, it is causing you to not be able to drop the weight that you're carrying
100%.
in your life.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of this series is the weight. So we definitely want to shout out to those guys out there.
Yeah, I'm going to say one more thing for these brothers that's watching.
Yes.
That are going to be watching this. I want to challenge you to do a 30-day fast with no social media.
Yeah.
And I want you to see how much you actually get done. I want to see how much focus you actually have. I want to see that workout routine that you thought you wanted to try beforehand. Watch how you dive into that workout routine. Watch how you connect with your partner on a different level. Watch how much you get done on a day-to-day basis. So challenge you to a 30-day fast, no social media at all.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate it. So that's for you guys out there in Atlanta. Looking forward to your event. We want to hear about how everything went. Make sure you guys reach out to us and follow us at Let's Talk Like Men podcast. This was an amazing conversation today,
Absolutely.
Rex. I am so excited for what this is going to do for men in the world today. So if you're a man watching this and you know that you got value off of this, please like, share, and subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, click that like button and that subscribe button and send it out to people. If you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I think they even allow you to leave comments. Leave some comments, push it to people so we can get pushed up in those rankings. We are doing an amazing job, and we appreciate every last one of our supporters on every single platform. Continue to share the message and the good word about these brothers that are really trying to help men heal. Women, same thing to y'all. We trying to help y'all out too, because if we're becoming better, y'all get better options. So make sure you're working on yourself as a woman as well, so you're prepared for us. But we're out here working. You can find me on every platform. I'm Myles the Millennial. If you're looking for a speaker that can come into your college, your high school, your program, and teach young adults and youth how to change their mental mindset to change their lives, I am your guy. We can definitely talk. You can go to my website at www.milesthemillennial.com. Send me a booking form and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. And it's your boy, Rex Howard Jr. You can find me on all platforms at I am Rex Howard Jr. I'm also a therapist and personal development coach. I focus on anxiety, depression, relationships, trauma from it comes to childhood trauma, sexual trauma, relational trauma. I focus on all these different kind of areas, and I want to help you get to where you are now, to where you want to go. And if you want to find me, you can find me at resolvecc.com. Once again, that's resolvecc.com. Let's book a call and let's make it happen.
Peace.